From 1878 to 1968, there were 71 lake captains that called Bayview, Wisconsin, on the shore of Lake Michigan, their home. While they lived here, they captained 195 different ships, from tugboats to schooners to steamships, in voyages that took them to every one of the Great Lakes. Join us now for another episode of Bayview, Town of Lake Captains, where we explore not only these captains, but also their ships, their homes, their families, and their lifetime of sailing adventures on the Great Lakes.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Bayview, Town of Lake Captains, where we talk about the 71 different lake captains that once lived in Bayview during the age of sail and steam from 1878 to 1968. Now, this episode is also sponsored by the Historic Bayview Lake Captains Society. Alright, now, this is a Memorial Day special to honor Bayview's best captain, numero uno, the best of the best. They get no better than this. So if you're wondering who the best is, it's the man that lived right behind me in this house. He wasn't just any man, he was an extra special man. In fact, he wasn't even a lake captain. You say, wait a minute, hold on. This is supposed to be about lake captains. And it is. And I have given him pride of place as number one, the best captain of all of Bayview's lake captains. He was Captain Lance Sijan of the United States Air Force. And in November of 1967, his fighter jet that he was flying, a U.S. Air Force F-4C Phantom jet, was shot down over North Vietnam, and he was killed. But the way he died wasn't from the crash. He was taken prisoner after surviving an ordeal in the jungle, and he died in what is known today as the Hanoi Hilton, the prison camp in North Vietnam. That's been written about a lot, but as far as I'm concerned, its most famous resident lived in this house where he was born and raised in Bayview, Captain Lance Sijan. He tried to escape when in captivity. He received the Congressional Medal of Honor posthumously. He's also now going to be on our walking tour, where for free, using just your phone, you can walk around Bayview, visit all the lake captains' homes, pull it up on your phone. There will be a link to this YouTube episode. There's also a link to the sea stories of the captains. But in this case, it'll be a link to the story of Lance Sijan. He was something special, let me tell you what, folks. And it's not by chance I'm making him number one. So here on Memorial Day, let's take a moment to remember him. Remember how great he was. He was on the football team of the Air Force Academy, played on the high school football team here in Bayview. All sorts of honors, the very best. It's a real loss for Bayview and our country. So let's remember him this Memorial Day, okay? Bayview's best captain, who knew nothing about sailing. The best captain. Captain Lance Sijan, United States Air Force, born and raised Bayview. So with that, I'll say hats off to our Bayview lake captains, and especially hats off to Lance Sijan. God bless him, God bless his family. Okay, That's all. I will see you in the next episode. All of it's coming up. The narration, great detail, so stay tuned. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Welcome to another installment of Bayview, Town of Lake Captains, where we discuss the lives of the 71 different lake captains that once lived in Bayview, Wisconsin, during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, in the age of sail and steam. This discussion will include their ships, their homes, their families, and their lifetime of sailing adventures on the Great Lakes. Here is the map of lake captains' homes in Bayview, to show you where this episode takes place. Its location focuses primarily on the large green arrow. Today we will be providing the true story of Bayview's best and greatest captain, Lance P. Sijan. He wasn't a lake captain at all, or even an ordinary seaman. In fact, he never sailed the Great Lakes. He never captained a fishing boat, schooner, car ferry, or steamship. He didn't know a dead-eye from a capstan, nor a forecastle from a quarterdeck, nor did he sail through one of the lake's legendary gales. Yet his extraordinary bravery, courage, and heroism vastly exceeded the heroics of all 71 of Bayview's lake captains, extensively documented in this book, combined. He was, is, and remains to this day, Bayview's greatest hero. And let there be no doubt, if we could ask the 71 lake captains of Bayview contained herein if they thought so too, the vote would be unanimous. Captain Lance P. Sijan was born and raised in Bayview at 2751 South Shore Drive, across from South Shore Park. The information next is taken from Wikipedia.com, and gives further details about Captain Sijan. Lance Peter Sijan, also known by his Serbian name Lazar Sijan, was born to Sylvester and Jane Sijan on April 13, 1942, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. His father, who owned a restaurant, was an ethnic Serb. His parents emigrated from Serbia during World War I. His mother was an Irish American. Lance was the eldest of 3 children. Sijan graduated from Bayview High School in 1960. It should also be noted here that he was an All-City end on the All-City Championship Bayview High School football team. Immediately after his graduation, he attended the Naval Academy Preparatory School at the United States Naval Training Center, Bainbridge, Maryland. After completion of the program, he gained an appointment to the United States Air Force Academy at Colorado Springs, Colorado. He played on the Academy's football team for 3 years, but quit the team in his final year to concentrate on his studies. Graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in Humanities in 1965, he was awarded a second lieutenant's commission and began undergraduate pilot training. After its completion, he was assigned to the 480th Tactical Fighter Squadron, 366th Fighter Wing, stationed at Da Nang Air Base, South Vietnam. He flew as a pilot and systems officer in an F-4C Phantom. On the night of November 9, 1967, for his 52nd combat mission, Sijan and Pilot Lieutenant Colonel John Armstrong were tasked with a bombing mission to Ban Laboy Ford in Laos. As they rolled in on their target to release their ordnance, their F-4C was engulfed in a ball of fire due to the bomb fuses malfunctioning and causing a premature detonation on their release. Sijan managed to eject from the aircraft, and although likely rendered unconscious in the ejection, his parachute landed him on a rocky limestone karst ridge adjacent to the target. Over the nights of the 9th and 10th November, no electronic or radio signals were heard from either Sijan or Armstrong. However, early on the morning of 11th November, Sijan made radio contact with a Misty Forward Air Controller F-100F aircraft that was flying over his crash site. For the duration of that day, the U.S. Air Force launched a massive effort to locate his position and destroy the numerous enemy air defenses in his area. At dusk, the search and rescue forces were finally able to position a CH-53 Jolly Green Giant helicopter near Sijan's position. During this overall rescue operation, over 20 aircraft were damaged by anti-aircraft fire, and many had to return to base. One A-1H Skyraider aircraft was shot down, though its pilot was soon rescued by a search and rescue helicopter on station. Sijan, refusing to put other airmen in danger, insisted on trying to crawl on his own to a jungle penetrator lowered by the helicopter. He opposed the helicopter's parajumper coming down to find and rescue him. The helicopter crew could not see him in the heavy jungle, and strangely they did not deploy the parajumper to find and rescue Sijan. After the Jolly Green hovered for 33 minutes, and upon hearing no further radio transmissions from Sijan, the on-scene search and rescue commander, flying in an A-1H Skyraider aircraft, suspected a trap, and thus ordered the Jolly Green and the entire search and rescue armada to withdraw. Search efforts continued the very next morning, but they were called off when no further radio contact was made with Sijan. He was then listed as a missing-in-action casualty. During his violent ejection and very rough parachute landing on the karst ridge, Sijan had suffered a fractured skull, a mangled right hand, and a compound fracture of the left leg. He was without food, with very little water, and no survival kit. Nevertheless, he evaded enemy forces for 46 days. During this entire period, Sijan was only able to move by sliding on his buttocks and back along the rocky limestone ridge, and later along the jungle floor. After managing to move several thousand feet, Sijan crawled onto a truck road along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, where he was finally captured by the North Vietnamese on Christmas Day, 1967. Very emaciated and in poor health, Sijan was imprisoned in a North Vietnamese army camp. Soon thereafter, he managed to incapacitate a guard and escape into the jungle, but was recaptured several hours later. Sijan was transported to a holding compound in Vinh, North Vietnam, where he was placed in the care of two other recently captured prisoners of war, U.S. Air Force Major Robert R. Craner and U.S. Air Force Captain Guy Gruters. Although in terrific pain from his severe wounds and brutal beatings and torture from his captors, Sijan had not disclosed any information other than what the Geneva Convention guidelines allowed: name, date of birth, service, rank, and service number. Suffering terribly from exhaustion, malnutrition, and disease, he was soon transported to Hanoi under the attentive care of both Craner and Gruters. However, in his weakened state, he contracted pneumonia and died in Ho Lao Prison, better known as the Hanoi Hilton, on January 22, 1968. First Lieutenant Sijan was promoted posthumously to captain on June 13, 1968. His remains were repatriated on March 13, 1974, and were positively identified on April 22, 1974. He was buried with military honors in Arlington Park Cemetery in Milwaukee. His former cellmate, Colonel Craner, recommended him for the Medal of Honor, with supporting testimony provided by his other fellow cellmate, Captain Gruters. Sijan received the Medal of Honor posthumously in 1976, with his parents, Sylvester and Jane Sijan, receiving it on his behalf on March 4, 1976, from President Gerald R. Ford. This concludes the excerpts taken from Wikipedia.com. Here is the full text of Captain Sijan's Congressional Medal of Honor. United States Congressional Medal of Honor, awarded posthumously. Captain Lance P. Sijan, United States Air Force. Citation. While on a flight over North Vietnam, Captain Sijan ejected from his disabled aircraft and successfully evaded capture for more than 6 weeks. During this time, he was seriously injured and suffered from shock and extreme weight loss due to lack of food. After being captured by North Vietnamese soldiers, Captain Sijan was taken to a holding point for subsequent transfer to a prisoner of war camp. In his emaciated and crippled condition, he overpowered one of his guards and crawled into the jungle, only to be recaptured after several hours. He was then transferred to another prison camp, where he was kept in solitary confinement and interrogated at length. During interrogation, he was severely tortured. However, he did not divulge any information to his captors. Captain Sijan lapsed into delirium and was placed in the care of another prisoner. During his intermittent periods of consciousness until his death, he never complained of his physical condition and, on several occasions, spoke of future escape attempts. Captain Sijan's extraordinary heroism and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty at the cost of his life are in keeping with the highest traditions of the U.S. Air Force and reflect great credit upon himself and the U.S. Armed Forces. Presented to his parents by Gerald R. Ford, President of the United States, 4th March, 1976. Lance Sijan was only 25 years old when he died in captivity on 22nd January 1968. He was and is the first U.S. Air Force Academy graduate to have received the Congressional Medal of Honor, and he was a native to Bayview that grew up here. After the war, his remains were discovered in North Vietnam and repatriated to Milwaukee, where he received a proper burial with honors at Arlington Park Cemetery. The small, simple gravestone the enemy used to mark his burial site in North Vietnam was also repatriated and is found today next to his newer and better marker. The courage, bravery, and honor Captain Lance P. Sijan exhibited under enemy fire and in captivity proves him to be hands down Bayview's best captain. Given the bravery, courage, and heroism of Bayview's 71 lake captains in the pages that follow, that's saying something. The stories about those captains in this book provide extensive written documentation about their ships, Bayview homes, families, and sailing adventures. But none of their challenging sailing events from their decades out on the lakes comes close to the challenge Bayview's best captain, Lance Sijan, faced and overcame. Captain Sijan's sister, Janine Sijan Rosina, has created a great website to honor his memory. It provides a great deal of amazing information on every aspect of his life. There are also videos that include first-person interviews and accounts of Lance's life growing up in Bayview, his heroism in and during the Vietnam War. Today, there is an F-4C painted in Lance's aircraft's colors, erected and displayed in his honor at Milwaukee's General Mitchell Airport, facilitated by Janine. Go visit it. And also take a look at the website Janine created. Just the section titled "Tell Us Your Lance Story" alone is astonishingly great. You'll be impressed. In addition, there is also a charitable foundation in his name, the Lance Sijan Foundation, designed to promote leadership in America's youth. That's also linked below. Donations are accepted there, so please consider making one. Thanks for watching. This photograph isn't about Bayview or its lake captains, but it's from the same era of Great Lakes maritime history. We thought we'd close with it for enjoyment, as it captures the spirit of the era. If you'd like to read more details about Bayview's best captain, Captain Lance P. Sijan, United States Air Force, or about Bayview's 71 lake captains and their own set of heroics and many sailing adventures on the Great Lakes, as well as the sources for the information contained in today's video, you can find these and more in the book Bayview, Town of Lake Captains, for sale now by individual volumes on both Amazon.com and HenschelHouseBooks.com. All proceeds from book sales go to support various maritime history projects related to Bayview's lake captains. One of these is a plaque and marker with the captains' names and addresses on it, as part of the creation of the Bayview Lake Captains Historic District, which will be the first of its kind in America. If you would like to contribute to support these projects, to include this and other markers honouring Bayview's lake captains, with 100% of all donations and contributions in all forms going to support them, please consider contributing to us through the listings found on our website under the Contribute button, as well as in the end credits at the conclusion of this video. Note, we are not a 501c3, so contributions are not tax-deductible. If, for some reason, we are unable to secure these markers, then all funds donated to this site will be given as a cash donation to the museum ship SS City of Milwaukee in Manistee, Michigan. This is the only surviving intact ship that was once captained by a Bayview lake captain, and in its case was captained by at least 2, and likely 3, totaling over 20 years between them. Finally, we also have free self-guided walking tours of Bayview's 71 lake captains' homes, using only your phone. It's simple and easy. Just go to our website shown here, find the item on the menu bar at the upper left named Free Self-Guided Walking Tours, and then scroll down to find the map with the instructions. Zoom in by street. When you find a captain's house you're interested in, click on it and details appear on the right, along with a link to the YouTube episode from this channel that provides the biography of the captain that lived there. It's free, fun, and available any time you're out walking. Just bring along your phone. I'm Simon Stanhope, narrator for these episodes. Join us again soon for the next chapter of Bayview, Town of Lake Captains.